Hi, Chris Picaro here, teaching tax flow. Welcome to White House Walkthroughs. We're going to look at the 2021 tax return for President Biden, and I'm going to take you through that right now. So let's jump aboard. You're looking at the 2021 federal tax return for President Joe and his wife Jill, First Lady Jill Biden. First thing that sticks out to me on this return is that the vast majority of their income is coming from W-2 wages. And unfortunately for the president, W-2 wages are taxed at a pretty high rate because we don't get a deduction for any type of employee benefits or any offset with those W-2 wages. Another thing I'm seeing is that they are both collecting Social Security and a pension. So you can see the vast majority of their $610,000 of adjusted gross income right here, almost 75% from wages. And then the other pension income is here. 85% of their Social Security is taxable. That's the maximum amount right here. Very little taxable interest here. Very little IRA, and absolutely no dividends and no capital gains. So those two things are rather surprising. First time I've ever looked at a vice president or presidential tax return that did not have dividends or capital gains. There is some other income. We're going to dive into that, about $62,000 right here that we'll check out. Also, the Bidens do itemize their deductions, so they are not taking the standard deduction. We're going to dive into that, and that's going to be reported on Schedule A. Taxable income here, $568,400. You can see their total tax is about $150,000. They have some tax withholding. These numbers right here coming from their W-2s. Their pension withholding could be coming from their Social Security. And then they did make estimated tax payments or had some carry forward of $49,000. When it all came out in the wash, looks like they filed right before the deadline here, April 13th, 2022. They did owe a modest amount of $1,700. So that is what I'm seeing on page one. Let's start jumping into some of those details that I talked about from the other income. Looks like they have a household employee. See household employment taxes, so they might have someone that lives with them or someone that helps manage their household, and they're required to withhold tax for that person and then pay that in and issue a W-2 to that individual. Said that they did itemize their deductions at Schedule A. Married couples can take a standard deduction or itemize. They paid about $44,400 worth of state and local income tax. Unfortunately, with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, only $10,000 of that's deductible. They do still have about $15,000 worth of mortgage interest. And then they did have donations of about $17,400. So when you add all that up, it comes to $42,300. So it's better for them to itemize their deductions instead of take the standard deduction. Schedule B, this schedule just talks about mortgage interest income and dividends. Again, very surprising they don't have any dividend income. They have a lot of bank accounts at different places. The total interest isn't that significant, $3,200 for someone in this position. So they could have other investments. It's just nothing is taxable and showing up on their income tax return. Now, the First Lady is a owner in two S-Corps, this Giacopa and Celtic Capri. These S-Corporations are kicking off some income for her at about $62,000 worth of taxable income. Those S-Corporations, we don't have those tax returns for those S-Corps, but we just know that ownership interest does produce a K-1 and does get reported on their personal tax return. The aforementioned household employee, looks like they paid the household employee $2,800, so not a ton, and that is the tax from that. So they're obligated to pay that in. Looks like this household employee lives in the state of Delaware, which I believe is their home state. They did file a Delaware state return. They also filed a non-resident Virginia tax return. But we're just going to focus on the federal return at this point. Scrolling down here, these are forms that are really technical in nature, 7203 forms. So if you have basis in an S corporation, that's going to show up here. Nothing sticking out. Nothing seems odd or abnormal here on these 7203 forms. So I'm going to keep scrolling down here, and we're almost done with the return. Last thing I wanted to point out, just interesting, here are the W-2s for the president. Still getting a W-2 from Northern Virginia Community Company here at $67,000, and then obviously his presidential earnings, his taxable W-2 wages. Obviously the compensation's more than that. but the taxable W-2 earnings and the withholding are listed there. So that's a White House walkthrough for President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden. Hope you liked it. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos. Take care.